Double Play is the name, sports is the game. I'm Jay.
And I'm Brandon.
And we're here to talk about some Southeastern football for you guys and preview it.
Yeah, because the football season's coming up. The team that went 6-5 last year, they're looking for a big rebound, especially after losing a lot of seniors from last year. A lot of seniors are going to have to step up and take the roles of previous players that left before.
They did finish 6-5, but as they finished on a high note, going on a 3-game win streak.
So that's something that they can use later on. You know, they can go ahead and try to build off of that win streak that they had last year. You know, some of these players that they're going to be having that will be playing in these starting roles anyways were part of that team last year. They'll try to ride that high note going on into the beginning of the season.
Now, 6-5 doesn't exactly show how good they were, as we're showing. They averaged 33 points a game.
And so that's something that you really need to look at, and I think that their offense was definitely one of their high notes that they had, like you and I were talking about before. Their offense had 33.36 points per game. They held their opponents to 26.36 points per game as well, but that's almost
a 10-point margin per game. About that, that's very impressive. And this is a team that enjoys to run the ball, as you can tell with their stats.
They have 1,873 team rushing yards and 24 rushing touchdowns on the season last year. As for the passing game, it's good. 2,877 passing yards on the season, 19 passing touchdowns. Like you were saying earlier on, you'd like to see that stat be a little bit higher, though.
This is a team that's pretty balanced. I would like to see the passing yards go up a little bit, but it's not too much to fret over if this running game can keep up what it's capable of doing. This is a team with the total offense having 4,750 yards of offense for the whole year. So overall, it's a pretty impressive number.
Especially having passing yards per game of 261.55, rushing yards 170.3. That's 431.8 yards per game. That's an insane number to have, and that's a number that you want to have. Like we said, the passing yards per game, that looks about average, and so rushing yards per game, just about above average. So definitely where you want to be on the offensive side of things.
Now on the defensive side of things, there were some pretty good stats, some things you want to look at, some things you'd like to fix. Now, they only allowed 173 passing yards per game average on the whole season. That's pretty darn good. You want to look at, most teams are looking to pass at least 250 to 300 yards a game. If they're pretty balanced, if they're a little pass heavy, then you're going into the 350 to 400 yards a game. Just to hold them to 173, I think, is pretty spectacular.
Yes, but then you have to look on the other side of things and go to the rushing side. They allowed 169 rushing yards per game, and we talked about how Southeastern is a great rushing team with 24 touchdowns on the season. They allowed 24 touchdowns. They gave up 26 rushing touchdowns alone themselves last year. So even though we're a great rushing team, we gave up 2 more touchdowns than we had on the ground.
But in the air, our secondary has been locked down as we have only given up 13 passing touchdowns. So it really seems like the Achilles heel has been coming off of the 26 rushing touchdowns.
Averaging, just to round out the defense, they allowed an average of 342 yards per game.
Let's go on the defensive side of things and talk about some impact players. We're going to start off with Raheem Wilson, defensive back. He had a total of 39 tackles last year, going on 28 solo and 11 assisted tackles. That's not his big stat. His big stat is tied for 5 interceptions.
And then we have Kevin Jones. He's a linebacker. He's also a senior. 73 total tackles, leads the team, 37 solo, 36 assisted tackles, combining to have that 73 total tackle
ball
statistic.
Hawk.
Yes, he's the one that you're going to have no matter where the ball's on the field. You're going to be there. Have you ever seen Blue Mountain State?
I have seen Blue Mountain State.
He's the Thad Castle. He's the Thad Castle that you want on the team. He's going to be there no matter where the ball's at. He just wants to get some pads on some offensive players.
I hope he doesn't have Thad Castle's personality. I hope he doesn't act or party like Thad Castle. I just hope he plays football like Thad Castle.
That's for sure.
We're going to another senior linebacker, Trent Hanna. He comes off a season with 16 solo tackles, 17 assisted. That makes a 33 total tackles. You want to get into the big stat with him?
The big stat with him is he has 3.5 sacks, and he is tied for the team in the sacks on the season. Now, that's going to have to be a bigger margin for this year. I mean, that's where we talked about their defensive rushing game did falter a little bit last season. They're going to need to step up in that point in the area right there, and one person that's going to have to get it done is Trent Hanna. He's going to have to be one of those leaders that's telling his defensive line. I mean, even though he's a linebacker, you're going to be controlling a lot of the defensive line and things that you see in the offense. So I want to go ahead and say that he's going to have to be the guy to say, hey, you need to be here, you need to be here, and they need to do something and get to the quarterback a lot more, or get in the backfield a lot more. Tackles for losses, you definitely need to stop the rushing game.
Definitely. Let's jump to the offensive side, players to watch, and returning. We're hitting up all the seniors here. They have the best stats, and we're looking to build off that. Let's start off with running back, Ronnie Green. He ran for 772 yards on 163 attempts last year. That makes it for about 4.7 yards a carry, and he averaged 70 yards a game. Respectable numbers now.
Is that good?
Pretty good to me.
Not bad. 10 touchdowns on the season as well, so great job there. And looking at some other players that we need to look at, Cayman Farmer, he's a wide receiver, a senior. He had 61 catches for 544 yards, definitely the leading receiver. 6 touchdowns, had the most catches on the team. He averaged 8.92 yards after the catch and averaged 49.45 yards a game. But that's not what we're going to look at. What we need to look at is who's going to fill the role of the quarterback position.
Who's going to get this job done? Not just be a bus driver, but be our number one leader on offense, on defense. Make sure this team is right.
Is that going to be a new identity based on the quarterback that we're going to have? Are we going to see that rushing team that we saw behind Ronnie Green like last year? Or are we going to see more of a pass-heavy team and see that air raid statistic go up a little bit?
Or can this quarterback find the perfect balance of both? We'd like to end our show for the week. My name is Jay.
I'm Brandon.
Thanks for coming in to Double Play.